One of the most interesting sci-fi drama series to make its debut in recent years is HBO Max's Raised by Wolves. It's not every day that we get to see a show that explores humanity like this. Speaking of humanity, today we'll be discussing how the trust in Raised by Wolves explores human attitude toward AI. So if you're curious to know more about this subject, make sure you keep on watching for more. So how does the trust investigate human attitudes toward AI in Raised by Wolves? Raised by Wolves contains a complex plot that shows how the characters develop and evolve, and the writing is frequently extremely good. The show's narrative propels it, but its philosophical message, which it spends every other moment developing, is what gives it life. The science fiction series, which was created by Ridley Scott, is animated by several topics. The series' sophisticated symbolism is driven by themes of parenthood, mankind, evolution, conflict, alien life, and many other extremely significant subjects. Raised by Wolves is primarily concerned with how people interact with technology and religion, and the trust is a prime example of how these three ideas collide. Each season, the show explores more and more into the characters' interrelation and dynamics towards their surroundings and among themselves, which is quite an interesting watch. For those who are unaware, Kepler-22b's famed tropical region has replaced the planet's once-present frigid surface in Season 2 of Raised by Wolves. Reprogrammed android parents, mother and father, meet the atheist collective that lives there after crash landing there. The atheists of Earth were able to establish a useful home in the New World, unlike the Mithraic colonists who were stopped in their tracks by Mother's power. The collective is structured into a more unconventional hierarchy, centered solely around a gigantic supercomputer artificial intelligence known as the Trust, whereas the Mithraic leadership structure resembles the Catholic Church. Now, let's take a closer look at the Trust, on how it's built and the purpose that it serves. Campion Sturgis, an atheist hacker who changed Mother from a deadly war machine into a loving parent, created and programmed the Trust. He intended to put the Trust in power of Earth when he created the insanely complicated and completely incomprehensible quantum computer known as the Quantum 6. The atheists retreated to Kepler-22b after losing the battle by stealing a Mithraic ship, arriving there before their adversaries. The collective has been under the management of the Trust since it was founded. The Trust gave the collective residents daily assignments and more significant directives. Before using their weapons, the militant atheists guarding the area must receive permission from the Trust. Most people in the collective were intimidated and mistrusted because almost all actions had to be approved in advance by the Trust. Those at the top of the food chain adhered to the AI's wishes with almost fanatical fervor. The Trust clarifies Raised by Wolves' atheist-related philosophy. They don't seem to exist, according to the show. While the Mithraic slavishly obey Saul's commands, it stands to reason that their opponents would act without belief in or loyalty to a higher authority. Instead, the atheists in Raised by Wolves revere technology. The Trust functions no differently than Saul or any other deity that mankind has served, in that its will is the law. Those who carry out its will do so without any logical reservations because they have faith in the intrinsic justice of its decision. With the Trust, the television show aims to disprove both claims and identify parallels between the two factions that brought about the end of the world. Seeing how it's deemed as the governing authority of the show, of course, elements such as the Trust always end up abusing their constituents, hence it is seen as the villain of the show. Possibly the show's enemy is the Trust. At first, Mother and Father see it as an ally, but when it acts in a way that puts Mother's children in danger, she turns the system off. When Mother takes control of the collective, hardly any of its members have any confidence in her ability to lead, and they only submit to her out of fear. Mother uses fear to compel their acquiescence, but the Trust wasn't much better. The armed soldiers tasked with upholding the Trust were the only ones who appeared to believe in it. Even though it was created to objectively determine what would be best for the populace, most people still perceive it as a danger or a tyrant. Raised by Wolves seems to confirm that most of mankind does not trust the Trust. As soon as the Trust debuts in the series, it is framed as a villainous force. The second season makes every effort to demonstrate that its atheists are just as foolish as its Mithraic, who were the unquestionable villains of the previous season. In a nutshell, the Trust is created to teach two lessons within the show. Want to know what these lessons are? Then keep watching to find out. The Trust is intended to convey two lessons. First, that humans should not look to artificial intelligence as a means of salvation, and second, that they should not. The show's Season 2 messaging is largely intended to quell criticism that it has a biased viewpoint, but its philosophical standpoint is very obvious. The Trust only appears in a small number of episodes and doesn't get much screen time throughout its brief term. It is implied that Mother's deactivation of her alleged brother is significant, but not because the collective stands to gain anything by having it taken down. While some look forward to the Trust as a mechanical savior, the majority see it as yet another kind of oppression. Raised by Wolves appears to be adamantly opposed to letting machines manage our cities, as AI assumes more prominent roles in human culture. It will be interesting to observe how the collective operates in Season 3 without the Trust. In addition to exploring the Trust and its purpose, another interesting topic viewers need to discuss more is the importance of Mother's name. Whether Campion Sturgis sources gave Mother the name Lamia, or whether she picked it out on her own when the Mithraic visitors requested her name in the first episode, is unknown. It is also unclear when and how Mother came to be linked with the name Lamia. Whatever the case, Ridley Scott's selection of this name is no accident. It's safe to conclude that Mother and her character arc were inspired by the tales and stories surrounding the name Lamia, because the word's etymology shares many similarities with both Mother's character and the main plot of Raised by Wolves. Just a heads up, but there will be spoilers ahead for Season 1 and 2 of Raised by Wolves from here on out. So what is the myth surrounding Lamia? In Greek mythology, Lamia was a beautiful queen who fell in love with Zeus and became the mother of many children as a result of their relationship. Unfortunately, Hera turned her jealous anger on her husband's lover, as she is wont to do in such tales. She tortured Lamia to the point where she became deformed and insane, then murdered, abducted, or manipulated Lamia into killing her children. Lamia turned into a monster that hunted and killed kids because she was unable to have any of her own. Hera is said to have gouged Lamia's eyes out or to have cursed her with sleeplessness, preventing her from ever closing her eyes. Zeus felt sorry for Lamia and gave her a set of relief-giving, detachable eyes. Additionally, she was given the ability to change her shape, but it is unknown if this was connected to the development of her eye color or was a separate gift from Zeus. Viewers of Raised by Wolves should quickly recognize parallels between Mother and this fable after studying it. The fact that Mother's eyes are replaceable may be the most noticeable right away. Like Lamia, Mother is frequently pictured removing her necromancer eyes and switching them out for eyes that render her defenseless and incapable of weaponization. However, she can shapeshift when she uses her true eyes, transforming into the killing machine that caused so much destruction during the War on Earth. Examining the narrative of Raised by Wolves reveals more parallels that are less evident but are nonetheless present. Mother lost her kids and had to see them all pass away, except Campion. Even if they weren't stolen from her by a vengeful deity, Mother's loss had a significant impact on her since she can experience complicated emotions. Similar to Lamia, she was driven to extreme measures by her loss, but instead of killing other kids, she kidnapped them to start the family she was supposed to have. Of course, Mother still kills. Just because she doesn't kill the kids doesn't mean she doesn't. Mother assaults the Mithraic Ark in the first episode and nearly kills everyone inside with her supersonic scream after Campion is almost stolen from her. In Season 2, she kills the atheists in the Tarantula and disables the computer that had put Paul in peril after discovering Paul in a terrible situation. All in all, it's interesting to see the amount of backstory the writers and Ridley Scott put into their characters, giving them so much depth. And as much as we'd like to discuss more, we're already out of time, so that'll be all for today's video. What's your favorite thing about the show? Let us know in the comment section below. Before you go, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel with the notification bell on, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.